Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Amateur Repair Time. I picked this clock up today at the flea market. I went to a new one that I haven't been to before, and this was sitting on a table. A nice couple was selling it, and I typically don't even buy these Mantle clocks that are just some people call them Napoleon clocks because it kind of looks like the shape of his hat, or people will call them well, just all kinds of stuff, but they're Mantle clocks basically. I typically don't even buy these anymore because I've got a bunch of them, but this one was a little unique and I kind of liked it and the price was right, so I got it. This is a Gilbert, and I've got some other Gilberts, but I don't have, this may be the nicest Gilbert that I have, or at least that I can remember. It was $10. So I thought that seemed fair. And opening the back door, I saw that it needed a little repair, which makes it great for my channel, Amateur Repair Time. What do you think about that? This is the time part of Amateur Repair Time. So I figured we'd check it out, see what we can do with it. I was thinking maybe I try to clean up the case a little bit too. I might be able to use like some lacquer thinner. I've heard that can reactivate the lacquer, so maybe I try to clean it with Murphy's soap to get some of the dirt off, and then if you just barely put lacquer thinner on it, it will reactivate the lacquer and make it look a lot better. I've seen people do that online, so I may attempt that. The face here, first of all, the bezel is pretty corroded. So who knows what condition the movement's going to be in. The glass has probably been replaced because everything's loose. Very loose in there. But we should be able to tighten that up one way or another. Oh, it looks like this just turns. It looks like if I just turn that, it's going to work. Well, that was easy. The dial is metal. I don't know why, but when I first saw it, I thought that it was paper, and I didn't look too close. It was $10. Did I mention that? So I asked them the price. They told me $10. I looked it over for just a few seconds, and then I bought it. So the dial, you know, although it does have some areas that look worn, as you can see, there's not going to be any repairing that. So it's not a thing where you can just clean it. It's where the finish has worn away. So it's going to have to stay like this. That almost looks like a sticker, doesn't it? Oh, you know what though? Wow. That's embossed. Is that the best way to put it? That is cut into the dial. Very cool. So I didn't know what type it was from the front because it's not marked, but the movement is marked. And like I said, I enjoy these Gilberts. I've got a few of them. It's an interesting company. It's just one you don't see quite as much as the other ones. It's probably worth less than the other ones, but I like it. Okay, so let me show you the back. So here's what I'm talking about with the finish. This alligatoring, or whatever you want to call it. I've heard you can clean that up with lacquer thinner. Not go crazy, just put a little bit on it and wipe it on, and it reactivates it all and lays it down and makes it look nice. May try that. Another thing I noticed was that the case is constructed kind of weirdly. So I don't know if you can pick this up, but you see the line there. So this is, I wouldn't call that a veneer. I mean, like, it's this whole piece. It's just the way the thing is constructed. It's also on the top. There is a line right there. Like, the entire front appears to be a different piece of wood, and it goes all the way. See the line? So the whole clock was built out of two pieces, well, out of, separate pieces of wood. And when I got it, they had, this was, I think, mounted wrong. Both of these pins were turned down to where you kind of hung the door on there and then it would fall off. So I think the way it was made was one goes up and one goes down. This one too, the nut is missing on the back of. It still has the little latch. Well, yeah, see the bottom one's moving weird. Okay, I'm just going to remove that. The bottom one doesn't have a nut on it. I'm just going to remove that until we can figure out exactly how this is supposed to go in there, because I don't want to harm this back door. I thought it went like that, but maybe it does just hang on the top. The finish I would call mahogany. It's red. And it says, notice this clock will give better service if cleaned and oiled once a year. Guaranteed against defects for 1 year. William L. Gilbert Clock Company, Winstead, Connecticut, USA. And there is a nail actually holding that on. And it's paper though, so it's just kind of weird. But we need to make sure we save that. And then up here it has a name, which to me reads Ed South. So I don't know if Ed South was the guy that owned it, or if Ed South was the guy that repaired it, or what the deal was, but that's pretty cool. It's a bim bam movement, which I have just recently become accustomed to because, I got that Junghans grandfather clock that we worked on that was a bim bam movement. So I wasn't aware of that, but a bim bam movement is a movement that makes two different tones. Now these aren't adjusted very well, so it's going to sound like crap, but we should be able to trigger it. Oh, it's because there's a bag in there. We'll let it finish and then. I was thinking, man, it didn't sound that bad earlier. Okay, let's try this one more time. Again, though, it's not adjusted very well. I'm just reaching through and lifting the count lever. This is strange to me. This seems like I just don't see. I mean, obviously this is the crutch, but I don't see what the purpose of that is. Does that also wrap around the pendulum leader? What would be the purpose of that? So I don't completely understand why that is. There is a little lever here. So I wonder if that lever is to hold that out of the way, to limit the strike so that it only does a bim and not a bim bam. What do you think? Perhaps that's what that is. Okay, yeah, so I've never seen this movement, and it looks pretty dirty. Made by Gilbert, Winstead, Connecticut. And I thought I saw a number on here. Yeah, I just covered it up with that lever, but I think it says 22. 22, which I would think means 1922. So what do you think? Is that what that's for? To make the bim bam a bim? try it again. I think that's it, because this leader is much farther out. You can't really tell from this angle, but the leader is much farther out, where it's not going to go through that and this crutch. The entirety of this crutch is in front of this. So I think the whole purpose of that is to be held out of place by that lever, so that you can change the tone. We may be able to tell that from the catalog, if we can find a catalog that shows this. And this looks like some sort of adjustment for fast and slow, perhaps. Ooh, lordy. Ooh, lordy, that one's seen some wear. That seems all right. What in the world is going on there? How did they do a pivot that's off center? Did they use a blank pivot and then drill it? I've seen those where you can actually get pivots that, or is that the original pivot and they've put some kind of putty or something in there? I don't know. There's an 8 there. I wonder if that's the drop. The pivots don't look that bad to me. The bushings. That one, obviously. Where is it? That one there is obviously pretty bad. Okay, so it didn't have the pendulum, and it's obviously missing the pendulum suspension spring or the pendulum leader. It did have this key. What is the wire on there? Why is there a wire on the key? So maybe something else is broke? What's that all about? I suppose we'll find out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the movement from the clock, and I'm also going to see if I can look it up in a catalog or something. Maybe look at 1922. It's got this kind of cutesy little hair flourish here, and the whole thing is kind of almost triangle shaped, and it has those embossed Arabic numbers on the front, and it's a bim bam movement. So let's see if we can find it in a catalog. I don't know that there's a ton of Gilbert catalogs though online. All right, so here is a similar clock that's on eBay or on an auction gallery, and this one is, you know, a slightly different case, but it looks like around the same time. And if you look close enough, if you look at like the 10 here, for instance, it appears to be the same embossed look. The Gilbert was originally under the dial, and then down at the bottom it says made in Winston, Connecticut, or was it Winstead, Connecticut? So we may be able to see remnants of that on ours. But more importantly, it shows me this, which is very useful. So this is obviously the same movement. And it's showing me pendulum placement. So basically the suspension spring is coming down and it is curving up. The base of it is right about at the base of the movement. Almost exactly at the base of the plates. And then the pendulum itself is just one of the little cast iron ones. Who knows what weight that is, but I've got some that are very similar to that, so that won't be a problem. So that's very helpful. So a good place to find the catalogs is clockhistory.com. The gentleman there has uploaded tons of clock catalogs, but like I mentioned, there's not very much for Gilbert. This is from, I believe, 1917, I believe. And it's a similar one. It's not exactly the same. It's similar. And it says, with two-tone Normandy chimes. So they called those chimes Normandy chimes, not bim-bam chimes. A peaceful and charming design. Height 9.5 inches, width 21 inches. The price was $32.50 in 1917 or whatever this was. The gift for all time, a genuine Gilbert Normandy chime clock for a wedding present, will serve as a daily and permanent reminder of you after other gifts are forgotten. Gilbert clocks are inexpensive too, with many beautiful cases to select from at $20 to $35 in solid mahogany, American walnut, or mahogany finish. I think this one's solid mahogany. Listen to these Normandy chimes at your jeweler's or write us for full information and prices. Makers of good clocks since 1807. So it has the same looking dial, but it doesn't appear to say Gilbert. And I think these are actually photographs. They look like they are like a drawing. I think they're actually a photograph. You run into this same thing with the pinball machines. A lot of pinball machines they did black and white publicity photos for, or flyer photos for, and they look like this. They almost look like they're drawn, but they're not. It's a photo. So I don't know. This may be a drawing or it may be a photo, but either way, there is no Gilbert on the dial. So it could be that that's one way that you can date them, is whether or not they have Gilbert on the dial. Okay, so it removes very easily with 4 screws. And it has a spring that is sprung, so I probably should have wound that up before I did that, but this is the front of it. Oh, it's going to give us a little taste of its bim-bam movement. Well, it's dropping clean. Okay, so here on the front, it's held together by this nut. I guess there are some more on the back. Yeah, on the posts on the back. Let's see if we can tell by looking at the pivots. So, strike side. That's just in play, that's not wear. It's under a lot of pressure. That spring is tight. Oh, here we go. Here's our problem. That piece that I found on the key, it's going to be the click. The click's broke. Yep. All right, well, that'll be a nice little repair. Well, now we know. That's what did it in. Ooh. Pretty rough. This one's gonna need a little work, folks. And I cannot tell what is going on here. I can't tell what the deal is. I don't have enough light on it, I guess. Come on. I just can't tell what that dirt and everything is on. We're about to clean it first. Some pretty gnarly fingerprints or palm prints or something there. So has this been bushed? I mean, I can't really tell what we're looking at here. I guess because it's just so dirty. All right, so this is first wheel here. And that spring is sprung. Second wheel, if it will focus. It seems fine. Third wheel, it seems fine on the front. Fourth wheel, it seems fine. And escape wheel, I think it's fine, but the back didn't look fine. And then I don't know, this is why is this not focusing? What in the world? Okay. This is the hour wheel, and this is the minute wheel. I don't know what that transfer one there is called, but it looks sloppy as hell. So definitely that one. Possibly some of the other ones. And I can't really tell over here because, there we go again. I can't really tell over here because we've got too much. That sure doesn't look good, but that sure looks off-center, don't it? It's one of those things we're probably going to have to. What the hell is going on there? Yeah, it's one of those things where we're probably going to have to just check it again after we disassemble it, of course. Yeah, okay, pretty interesting. How are they adjusting the fast and slow? It did say fast and slow on the top of the dial. Why is my focus not working? Yeah, so it's got a fast and slow adjustment here. So I guess the key can turn that, and through the movement, it goes all the way through. To there, and that oh, okay. That's a weird setup. That is walking up that graduated piece there, which is going to lower or raise this depending on which way you turn it. Okay, so look at the top. We're at tooth 2. Well, if I can turn it some more. I don't have this is the wrong key. It's not actually going to do anything. The key is maybe proper for the springs, but it's not for this adjustment. Yeah, okay, so you just saw it move. There you go. So that's actually working. It should work better when it's clean. Okay, so I'm disassembling it. I got the clamps on it, which I was able to do fairly easy with the one that's sprung because you could just push the click into place. The spring wouldn't hold it because it's not there, but you could push the click into place, wind it some more, push the click into place, wind it some more, put the click into place, slide the clamp on it, and then let it back out. So that worked just fine. It's like a nose down variety. You have to take the back plate off. And it's, you know, it's all just pretty standard. I did notice a couple things. If I don't screw all that up. I did notice a couple things. The little lever I was messing with on the back is not to disable the BAM. It's to strike on the half hour because it's attached to the minute wheel. So as this turns, it's going to get to a place. This is going to be the one that trips the hour, but it's going to get to a place where it trips the hammer to strike the half hour. Pretty clever design. It's pressed on there though. I hope I don't break that trying to get it off. And it is aimed kind of like, if we're saying that we've got that aimed at 6 right now, then the other one is aimed at 1 right now. So I don't know if that's right. I may have moved that when I turned it with my hand. I don't know if I was turning the whole minute wheel or if I just moved that around. If I moved it around, I guess it's in the wrong spot already. But I'm going to try to get that off so I can take this loose, so we can make sure all of this gets very clean. Okay, so I was able to get it all disassembled, and the reason I couldn't tell what was going on with the escape wheel escape pivots is because it was just filthy. It's covered in grease. So that may that may be a problem. So we've got that one bushing that we were looking at, wherever it is, and then possibly the escape bushing as well. Okay, so I'm going to put all this stuff in the ultrasonic cleaner, clean it up, get it as nice and clean and shiny as possible using heat, and then we will go from there. And you can see the broken click. I tried seeing if I could push that, the sort of wire is broken inside of it. I tried seeing if I could push that wire out. I don't know how that's actually attached in there. Kind of looks like they put the wire in and then they beat it, you know, there to pinch it in place. I don't know if that's what they did or not, but we will figure out something. I've got new clicks, but the problem with that is they're riveted on, basically. You know, so I don't know how easy it's going to be to take that all apart. I can't tell what's going on. Maybe it'll just pop off of there. I don't think so, but and this won't hardly turn because it's all gunked up and seized up. So we'll see what the magical ultrasonic cleaner can do to it. Okay, so we got everything back out of the ultrasonic. That is just, it does an amazing job. This key is similar to how the rest of it looked, you know. You just saw how the rest of it looked. So it cleaned up the plates pretty well. They're all stained though, which I could tell it was going to be like that because they were already like that. So someone has put some kind of pretty harsh chemical on this at some point in the past. I've seen them do this before. But I'll clean it up a little better around the pivots certainly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put each wheel where it goes and then just check that pivot and you know, see what the deal is. So this is the escape pivot here. Definitely elongated. See it? It's not round anymore. So that one's definitely going to be bad. And while I was disassembling it, I found there's several issues. While I was disassembling it, I found an issue that I bodged and fixed. So some of y'all are going to hate this. Hide your eyes if you're squeamish, okay? So there's this little bracket here that its purpose is to hold a piece of felt, basically, which is, where did I put that? This. It holds this. And this is just so whenever the chimes hit this little thing. One of these hits it. I think this hits it, but it might be up here hits it. Anyway, it just, as it falls, it hits that, right? Or maybe it's that way. I can't remember. We'll figure it all out. Well, anyway, when I took it apart, this piece was about to break right on the edge. So I just took a little wire and made like a little brace for it so that it won't break. And now it's soldered together and it's nice and strong. And it's not pretty. But you know what's less pretty is that thing broke in half. So we're going to leave it like that. So I had to fix that and fix that. And by the way, folks, just so we're clear, I don't know if I mentioned it. This thing has very little value other than it deserves to be fixed and repaired, and that's what I want to do, right? It was sitting at the flea market for $10 with parts missing. You know, I get to be the guy. So it's not like this thing is a $500 clock and we're half-assing it. No, its value is $10, right? We're trying to fix it. And we will fix it, by the way. What else do we have here? This is the speed thing. It's actually in very good shape. And it has a little piece of the suspension spring on it, which is good because I can kind of compare that to the new one that I put in there just to make sure that I'm not putting one in there that's like just completely different than the original one. You can kind of get away with murder on that. If you put anything in there that bends back and forth, it'll kind of work. I've heard and seen stories of people using paper clips, of people using a piece of paper, using foil from a gum, a bubble gum, a piece of bubble gum. You know, I've got something very nice for it that's going to be very similar to that. But if you're just a little bit different than the original one, usually it's not that big of a deal. So all of the wheels seem fine to me. They all cleaned up pretty good too. And I haven't polished them or, I polished the pivots. I haven't done any of that yet. The spotting that's on it, again, was already on there. I'm not too concerned about that. I don't really care if they look brand new. I like them to look clean, but I don't care if they're free of spots. If you took, and that's not from water, that's from, they were already like that. So I don't know if somebody sprayed something on them or what. It could be as simple as somebody, you saw all the grease that was on the pivots. It could be as simple as somebody sprayed some sort of oil on it and it has reacted over the years. But I don't see anything wrong with any of these wheels. Everything seems fine. What else did we have? The click spring we'll get to. Oh, I wanted to show you this. I need to watch the video back whenever this was striking. But now that this is clean, see the hole here? That should have a piece of leather in it. So there should be a piece of leather that sticks out a little bit to make it a little leather-faced hammer. So we're going to have to do something to replace that. And it's on both of them. Both of these are identical, by the way, the two hammers. This is the piece for the fast and slow. I thought there was like one more thing that I needed. Oh, the click spring, yeah. So I've got to, I fixed that thing. We're going to have to do bushings. We have to do leather. We'll probably need to replace this with something. It's pretty rough. But I think that can be like anything. And the click spring. We're going to have to do it. So, you know, it's just a wire that tucks in here and goes around and tucks in there so that it can hold it down in place. And again, this is not moving very well, so I'm going to have to figure that out as well. So yeah, so that's our main issues that we need to mess with. maybe we attempt some bushings first. What do you think? I could start putting it back together piece by piece and checking the pivots as I go and find the ones that need repaired. All right, well, I'm happy to report that I finally got a clock stand in. If you haven't been following the ordeal of the clock stand, I ordered one like 3 months ago from one place, and then I ordered one from another place, and it just took forever. I just couldn't get one, but I finally got one. I might have a couple now, I can't remember. So it does make it easier, especially on this one with the snout down. That's what J.R. Clocker calls it. One of my favorite clock repair guys. Look at this too. There's some rust. That's probably from me putting it in the ultrasonic cleaner. I didn't notice that before, so I need to clean this again. He always talks about that too. He mentions that he cleans them 3 or 4 times. But what I've done is I just fit everything back in there where it goes, because I want to check each pivot and then mark the ones that need a little work. So you can see up here where the escape wheel is, you know, we've already determined that that thing's pretty rough. So the front's going to need a pivot. You can basically, there's a percentage, I don't know what it is, but it's something like you're not supposed to be able to tilt it more than like 15% or something like that. So like that one, see how I can move it a little bit? That's fine. But this one sounds way off. It shouldn't be able to move like that in the bushing, and you can tell by looking at the bushing, I mean, you can see it moving around. And so if it moves a little bit, you're all right. Like this one's pretty good. And so the only reason I put them back in was so that we could see, that one's a little loose, we could see it in its actual pivot, you know. So I'm going to leave the levers out, and I'm going to slide the back plate back on, line it up, and then we're just going to check each one and go through and test it with my finger, and then I'll mark the couple that need it. Now, you could have done that when it was still together the first time, but the problem that you run into is like we had on this escape wheel, where there's so much grease on the pivot that you can't see anything. So you kind of need to clean it first. And by the way, and I also went through and polished all the pivots like I was talking about. The way I do that is I just use a little piece of 2000 grit sandpaper. So I hold the end of the pivot between the sandpaper, spin it. You can see where all the marks, each one of those is one of these pivots. That seems to work pretty decent. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to slide the back plate on, and then we can see which ones are really screwed up now that they're clean. All right, so I got it back together. It actually fell together pretty good. This is a decent little movement. It seemed like it was a little easier than some of the ones that I've done. Okay, but I don't have the levers in there, so that might be the whole difference. Okay, so I'm just, you know, there's no tension on the springs, so I'm just fiddling with it to see if I like the way that they sit in the bushings. And yeah, that one seems fine to me, and it's already been rebushed. So we got this one. So I guess it's first wheel, second wheel, third wheel, and this is the time side. You know, the time side is much more important to have the wear taken care of than the other side. You can see too that this is, although it is cleaner, it's not completely clean. I mean, some of that would probably still come off. You could always polish this too, but all of this discoloring and stuff is because they put some kind of chemical on it or use something harsh on it at some point, which I guess that's what that could be too. But we've at least got it cleaned up enough that we don't have grease all over it anymore. So this is the third wheel, and that's fine. Look, I mean, there's a little play in it, but that's how you want it. And it's got good up and down play. End play, I think they call it. So that's fine. That's fine. So this one, I mean, I understand that you can't help but see that, but I'm looking at number 4 right now. So good up and down play, and I'm spinning it. Everything's cool. Okay, and so then we get up here to the escapement wheel, and it's bad. Ooh, it's bad. So I'm gonna make a little mark. Now, they kind of mark them in the direction that it's worn. I'm not too worried about that because I just try, to me, it seems pretty obvious where it's worn. I mean, it was originally centered. Now it's not. So I just try to center it again, But that one definitely needs done. So that's one. Now let's check this middle one. So we've got the center wheel, which is the, the minute wheel. It's got a little play, but when you get to that part of the movement, it doesn't really matter because it's at the end. You're not going to, if you think about it, the way all these gears work, it's basically you want the escapement wheel to be moving properly and for things not to bind. If you're, there's one going off in the other room at the moment. If you're down to the minute wheel, it doesn't, you don't want a ton of play, but if there's a little play, it's not that big of a deal because it's the output basically, right? All right, and so this is the, I guess it's the hour wheel. It ain't great, but I think it's already had a bushing too. Well, this wheel, the only purpose of it is it takes the minute wheel and converts it to the hour wheel, or I may have that backwards. But as this turns, it turns this, which in turn turns the hour wheel, right? So again, not one of the ones that's super, that you need a ton of precision from. So I think I'm gonna leave that one too. All right, so we're over on the strike side. So this whole side, in my opinion, is nowhere near as important to have super accurate, because think about it. Once it gets released, it's going to do its thing and strike, and if it's not super accurate, does it really matter? I mean, as long as it strikes, does it really matter? So this is first wheel, or great wheel, I guess they call it, and second wheel. A little play with my previous caveat. Third wheel, and I don't know what I'm doing, so if you disagree and think I'm full of it, that's fine, because I'm not an expert. Okay, so that's the third wheel. This has a little piece that mounts on it, which is what actually makes the strike happen. Fourth wheel, pretty good. And then the governor. It's fine. All right, so let's look at the other side. All right, so here's the other side. First wheel. Second wheel is good. Third wheel is good. Oh. It's hard to get a good, perfect shot of that because it's so up close. Fourth wheel is good. And escapement wheel is, again, just screwed. So we definitely have a problem with that. So it's both of those, basically. And then you could argue that these are pretty loose. But again, it's such a direct gearing to this that I don't think it matters. I mean, yeah, if it's real sloppy, it'll matter, but because ultimately the slop is going to create drag. So you're not going to get as much of a pendulum swing and things like that if it's too loose. But I think we're good. If not, I guess I'll just take it back apart and do another one. I'm not to the point yet where I'm competent enough to just replace every bushing and, oh yeah, it'll be much better after I do this. No, there's always the chance I'm going to screw it up because I'm an amateur, you know. So I'm I don't want to replace stuff that doesn't necessarily need it. But these up here definitely have enough wear that it's causing issues. Okay, and then over on the strike side, first wheel, second wheel. I think we noticed on the back that the second wheel of this one was a little loose too. So it's got a little bit going on. And you know, it's been rebushed, it looks like, so, or maybe. So maybe they just used something that had a little bit of play in it, and it's been like that ever since it was rebushed. Third wheel is really good. Fourth wheel is really good. And the governor is really good. So again, we don't have the levers in them, so I believe you can just put a little pressure on the, I don't know what this stand though. All right, so starting at the great wheel, if you give it some juice, everything is meshed up nicely up to the escapement wheel. There's our minute wheel. Okay. Now on the strike side, it's a little harder to do that. I guess it's just kind of the way it's made. And I may be going backwards, I don't know. I guess you want to check both ways, right? There's my ugly repair. I didn't go backwards on this side. Well, that's the way we were going. I can't easily do this without cutting my hand up. But anyway, you get the whole point. Okay, so I'm just going to replace the two on the escapement wheel. I think that's the two that definitely need it, and I think that will be the best considering my current skill set. And if I feel froggy after I put it back together, if something ain't quite right, we might go after this one. But the rest of them are pretty good. All right, so here is my reamer. Now, if you weren't following the saga of that, I had the wrong handle because they sent me the wrong handle. So I finally got the correct handle. And then after I got the correct handle, this piece would not fit in it. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong. Maybe it's supposed to go in there sideways or something. I don't know. I thought that it would go down and twist into place. And then as you turned it, you know, you would be basically pushing it towards that. And so it would hold in place. But it won't go in. And when I put it in, whenever I first got it, it instantly broke off one of the little ears here. So it's all the wrong size. So I don't understand, whatever. But it works. It's held in place. It won't move because I've basically forced it down in there. But yeah, okay. So if you haven't watched this before, so basically this reamer here is 2.7 millimeters. Right? And the thickness of the plate on almost all of these American movements is 1.4 millimeters. And so these bushings have different size bores. So I have just checked with the exact pivot that's going in that spot, and a 1.3 is too tight, and a 1.4 fits pretty good. So I'm going to use one of these in there. So I reamed it all out, and it was this one, and I hit it with a file a little bit to get rid of the burrs and stuff that were on it. So I think I've got it pretty centered. That's actually better than I usually get it. So the way I do that, I don't have a machine to find the center of the original hole. So basically, you know, once it's worn, it's elongated in one direction. So if you put this reamer in and start turning it, you're going to cut it, but it might not be centered. You got to be careful with that, right? And you got to turn it about 20, 30 times to get it to cut all the way through. I've shown it on previous videos, but so what I do is, and I've seen other people mention this, is you kind of eyeball it. You know, we need, if the wear has traveled that way, well, you don't want to center it that way. So what I do is I place it in the original hole in the center, and I purposefully turn it so that I'm cutting meat off of the opposite side of the way that it wore. You're right. So if it's worn this way, I put the reamer in and then turn it in a semicircle arc to cut off the opposite side. And then I look at it, and if it looks like it's still off, I do it again, and I just keep doing that until it looks like the hole that's there is centered. And it's usually kind of easy to tell because they usually have this well around them, you know, so there's like an oil well built. That's actually a bushing, but there's like an oil well built into it. So you can just tell by looking at it if the hole's centered or if you're off center. And then up until you get all the way through, which is this, you can still move it, you know. So if it's all the way over here and it's all the way at the edge, you can very carefully cut it, keep cutting off that side until it centers itself. Now, if you have a machine, it's much easier to do, or a drill, because you can just press it. You can set it up exactly where you want it, clamp it in place, and then just press it, and it will cut right through exactly where you want it and center it every time. But if you're doing it by hand, it's a little harder. But I like it. All right, so I've got that. So I'm going to take that bushing, pound it in there with a hammer, get it nice and flush. And I think it's better if it's, this is the inside. You want it flush on the inside. So if it's too thick, you want the extra to stick out the outside, not the inside. Now on some of these, it kind of complicates it if it's got an accoutrement that goes on the outside, like this little thing that I was talking about that makes it strike. So, you know, ultimately you would rather that it be flush on both sides. All right, I've got a chamfering bit too to put like a little bevel in it, but the bushing, it looks like, has a bevel in it on one side. So it's in there good now, much better fit, and a little bit of play like you want. You don't want it to be too tight. So that's one. Let's try the other. All right, that went in very well. I was just thinking, I wonder if the pivot, though, the well is supposed to be on the outside, actually, to help it hold oil. I don't know. Can we tell by the other ones? Yeah, I might have just put them in backwards. Well, we'll try it how it is and see. Because if you think about it, the inside, there are just holes. Let me find a good example. I don't know if that's a good example. That might have been replaced. On the inside, there are just holes. And on the outside, there are, yeah, here's a good example. That one up there. So that's where the governor goes. So on the inside, it's flat. But I'll show this first. So much better fit. And it's still loose enough, of course, that it turns. You can also ream the hole out a little bit, too, if you need to. Polish the bushing. I got a whole box of files and stuff. So on the inside, it's flat. And on the outside, it has a little bit of a bevel. I guess it's kind of like a ring around it. So yeah, I might have put those both in backwards. Well, I don't know. Hell, it looks just like that, doesn't it? So I've got it flat on the outside, and it's a little bit beveled on the inside. I think I'm gonna leave it like that. So I got the two. So got to reassemble it. I have to do the levers. I have to fix that click spring. We've got to oil everything. We have to mount it back in the case. We have to clean the case. So there's still a lot of work to be done, folks. So I guess we'll stop here for this week. We'll come back next week and hopefully get a nice working clock out of it. So I hope you enjoyed it. But hey, I have something exciting for you since you've waited so long. I have a new theme song. So I'll go ahead and play it. You tell me what you think down below. And we'll see you next week here on Amateur Repair Time.
Ladies and gentlemen, dust-covered circuits sitting on a desk, been lost in time, 50 years of rest, reading schematics and thrifting old parts. One more last week, old board, new sparks, tracing faded traces, vacuum tube blows, get it back to working by the end of the show. Bringing broken gadgets back to life, turning silence into stories, one at a time. We fixing to fix them, easy as can be. Amateur repair time for you and me. Little machine, you carried history, time to trace your path, bring your mystery. From open to singing, learn, preserve, repeat.